Yeah, boy, I tell you what, time does fly, doesn't it? I can't
Yeah.
believe 30 plus years. Let me go ahead and share my screen here and we'll go ahead and get started. And, hey, everybody. I want to welcome you to iHub Global. If you're looking at this for the first time, you are in the right place at the right time. And I believe you're going to be looking at a very, very bright financial future as a result of it. So, as Chuck said, my name's Michael Stern. I'm here in Arizona, and I want to welcome you to iHub Global. You know, it's been about a year that this whole thing started coming about. I was talking with a colleague of mine, and he dropped a question basically asking me if I'd be interested in the world's largest wireless network. I was curious enough to say, tell me more. And I learned that it had to do with something called the Internet of Things, also known as IoT. Now, I had heard the term before, kind of like a vague idea, but didn't really have anything specific. And, I called Chuck up, said, hey, what do you know about this Internet of Things? And he said, not a clue. And a lot of people had the same response until Chuck talked to some guy and said, what do you know about the Internet of Things? And he goes, oh, I know all about it. And he explained that he owned his own vending machine company, and every single one of his vending machines was connected to the internet and actually placed their own order to restock the inventory of the vending machine. And he explained how much time and money it saved the company because the person physically doing that restocking only had to look at their iPad to know precisely what to put in each vending machine. And so I thought, wow, now that is a really practical explanation or understanding. And as I started looking at all these different types of devices that are out there in the world of the Internet of Things, I began to realize that there were thousands upon thousands of different kinds of technology and different uses for those technologies to provide all kinds of wonderful, convenient, cost-saving activities to make things better as a result of these Internet of Things devices. And as I started looking into the marketplace, I was pretty astonished to hear that it was already an $800 billion marketplace with some 8.4 billion devices already connected to the internet, more devices than people, devices kind of like that guy's vending machines, as an example. And more so over the next 4 years, it's expected to exceed $2.4 trillion with between 70 to 80 billion different types of devices connected to the internet. So that was pretty astonishing. But what really got my attention was looking into this company that's actually putting this world's largest wireless network together. And as Chuck mentioned, the name of that company is Helium. They're based in San Francisco. And it all got its start basically in 2013, after a group of very forward-thinking entrepreneurs did a deep dive looking at what was going on even back then in the world of the Internet of Things. And they realized something very, very important that is critical to this whole concept. And that is, it doesn't matter how great of a piece of technology you got and how great the information it outputs. If that data can't get to the internet, then it can't be properly used in some sort of a process to make things better. And so they saw that the biggest question is how do these devices get their data to the internet? And they realized that there was really no simple process for that to take place, that a lot of companies that had their own IoT projects had to recreate each time their own internal infrastructure to make that happen, or people were relying on cell phone companies with very expensive data plans and systems that were not easy to integrate with their technology. And so they got this rather audacious idea, back in 2013 to put together a worldwide peer-to-peer network to allow people all over the world to participate in building a network precisely to allow IoT devices within proximity of the nodes in that network, the peer-to-peer portion of it, to get their data to the internet. And they chose to use the standard that evolved in the IoT space, something called LoRa radio. It's using a radio frequency just above FM radio, one in the biologically safe region. And they use that to send encrypted IoT data to a nearby node, which they call a Helium hotspot, that has a range of being able to pick up that IoT data of around a mile or so. And then you basically send that data to the internet using your own internet connection. And what they did to incentivize everybody to participate around the world in building this network is they created their own cryptocurrency blockchain and token by the same name as the company, Helium, with the 3-letter code HNT. And they put together their first hybrid LoRa gateway Helium blockchain device that they call the Helium Hotspot, and sold the first ones delivered in December of 2019. So I want to go ahead and play a short video here to give you a sense of kind of what this is all about, so that you can get a sense a little bit more about this IoT space and iHub Global.
Do you know who owns your wireless network? Most likely, some ginormous big brand tech company with stacks and stacks of moolah. Well, what if you were able to own part of a similar network, which is growing constantly every day? It's called the Internet of Things, or IoT network. Heard of it? It powers billions of all those helpful things like our beautiful smart devices, life-saving medical sensors, security monitors, remote tracking devices, and the list goes on. So now you know you could help power all that and get paid for it in Helium, which is a form of cryptocurrency. You know the digital currency that's super secure because it's kept in an online fortress of solitude called blockchain technology? But you might have known that. And all that happens from this one little device called a Helium Hotspot you can get from iHub Global. All you do is plug it in and start earning or mining helium automatically, which goes directly into your account. Simple as that. You basically earn money by doing practically nothing, so you can afford to spend more time with who's important to you. Earnings vary based on where you live, and iHub will show you simple ways to track how much you earn every day. You can also bring in your family and friends to earn more as an affiliate. And they'll earn too while we build the biggest network in the world together. And eventually, your earnings go even higher and higher with our shared hosting plan. Okay, then why iHub Global, you ask? Because it's free to start. Our mission is growing the network by more of us owning the network. We'll do it together with simple training on the basics. We'll also show you simple earning strategies to grow. By using our proprietary app called Helium Track, you can track your hotspots and run virtual simulations to place free hotspots in the best locations to further expand your network of affiliates and earnings. Who knew owning this network could be so easy? So if you're ready, let's grow together with iHub Global. Join and request a hotspot for your home or office today for free.
So what is the business community thinking about this particular operation? So the units first started being delivered in December 2019, and Time wrote an article considering it one of the best invention of 2019. And they likened it to a miniature cell tower. Not that this has anything to do with cell phones or cell towers, but they recognized before cell phones could be used as extensively as we're familiar with it, it took a massive infrastructure to be able to provide that. And that also provided an enormous investment opportunity for people to participate in building that structure. And so they saw that this is a completely new worldwide infrastructure that was going to be put together, and they saw it was a huge opportunity for people to participate in it at a much lower level than was required with cell phones. But with iHub, it's possible to actually participate in putting this infrastructure together with essentially little out-of-pocket cost. And then in the cryptocurrency world, Decrypt magazine wrote their first article when Helium flipped the switch, allowing IoT data to flow through the Helium network. And in the business community, Fortune magazine wrote their first article when major companies like Nestle and Lime Scooter started already migrating to using the Helium network to get their IoT data to the network. So really, what's the bottom line on this? Why are we going to go ahead and participate, get one of these devices, hook it up to our internet? It's great for our communities, cities, and towns, but the bottom line is we get rewarded in the form of Helium tokens through a process that they call proof of coverage, which literally generates Helium tokens, proving that, based on proving that we are actually have physical units here that provide coverage for those IoT devices. So how much helium can one of these devices generate? Well, it really takes having at least 3 units within a kilometer or so to really start the ball rolling in a big way. And then depending upon how many units that you've got in the area, you can be going anywhere from 25 helium tokens a month to more, even on a weekly basis. It all depends on the number of units and the topography of everything involved. Now, it's only been a year since these helium cryptocurrency tokens could be exchanged for cash. And when that happened, this company, Pick a Crypto, did a full analysis of the helium business model, and they were so impressed with it, they thought the value of the token could exceed $5 even before the end of 2020. Well, they weren't quite on the mark there. It did hit a high of a little over $4 in late September. But more importantly, they said that between now and 2025, they expected it to get into that $40 to $80 range. And there's people today that are looking for it to get even into that $30, $40 range, even before the end of this year. So where is it right now? It's about $25. So it is definitely moving in that direction in a very powerful way. So Helium got its start by seeing the need of providing this worldwide wireless network for the IoT devices that are out there. And when we started investigating the Helium business model, we felt that there was a tremendous opportunity to put an affiliate program together to increase the awareness, the education, and the training of people of how to add to this network, how to maximize the earnings of what these devices are able to deliver. But we really wanted to find if there was a way of creating a leverage situation where the helium that was produced by one of these devices could be distributed within an affiliate model through a compensation structure. And to do that, we reached out to the world's largest authorized supplier of helium hotspots, a company called CalChip Connect. We told them what our aspirations were. We really developed a great relationship, and they helped put together a unit that was specifically designed to allow us to do our leverage compensation structure as a result of it. And we like to think of these things as a passive income generator, something independent of the pandemic or even the world economy. It's not an MLM company. We're an affiliate program, and there's no recruiting required. You could do okay with just getting a couple of units, but I'll tell you what, as you understand the power of what's available to help put this network together around the world and being able to participate in getting a piece of the action on an unlimited number of these devices, you definitely want to start sharing this with individuals. And so once you get this device, you plug it into power. These things only use about $1 or less of electricity a month. They operate at like 5 watts, like a 5-watt LED. You hook it up to your own internet connection. It doesn't use very much of your bandwidth. These things are designed for security and privacy. And once this thing syncs with the Helium blockchain, it starts generating Helium tokens 24/7, 365. So I want to kind of give you some sense about our affiliate compensation structure, because it's a big part of why we created iHub, the affiliate program. And so for decades, I've referred, as many others have, with this J. Paul Getty quote, where he said he'd rather have 1% of the efforts of 100 people rather than 100% of his own efforts, because he understood the power of leverage. We all only have 24 hours in a day. And if we can accomplish working together towards common goals, we can essentially accomplish way more than any one of us individually. And so my partner, Chuck, likes to rephrase that, saying that he'd rather have 5, 10, 15% or more of hundreds or even thousands of hotspots than to only be able to get 100% of his own hotspot. Now, I want to kind of give you just a little taste of how our affiliate compensation structure is, not to train you on how to do it, but to give you some context, because I want to show you a couple live examples. And that way you have an understanding of what that would represent to you if you were the ones that have been involved in referring those particular situations. So if you choose to build an affiliate network with iHub, you're actually going to be building 4 discrete teams of individuals. Now, first off, there's no cost to getting involved in registering with iHub Global. But the way it works is, and there's also no cost in people being able to get units deployed to them as long as their addresses meet the qualification using our incredible Helium Track software. But let's say the first 5 individuals that you share this information with that get a unit, they comprise your first team. Okay. The next 10 after that would be your second team. The next 10 after that would be your third team. And then anything after that would be on your 4th team. So let's look at what this would actually represent. I'm going to give an example where every unit on the average is producing 50 helium tokens a month. So on that first team, you're able to get up to 20% of that. The second team, there's an additional 5%, very powerful, what we call a coded bonus. On the third team, there's 2 of those 5% bonuses. And on the fourth team, there's 3 of those 5% bonuses. So let's take a look at what that represents. On the first 5, each one generating 50 helium tokens at 20%, that's going to yield you 50 helium tokens a month. You got 10 people on that second team that's going to produce 125, 10 people in the third team producing 150. Now you can have an unlimited number of people on the fourth team, but let's just say for the purposes of being consistent in this example that you only had 10 so far, that would basically yield you 175 tokens. That is bringing in 500 helium tokens a year. 500 helium tokens, not a year, but a month. So 500 times 25, that would be bringing you $12,500 US worth of helium on a monthly basis. You're talking about over $150,000 a year on doing what? On basically becoming a free iHub affiliate, sharing this information with at least 35 people that qualify to get units. And that's it. I mean, it's extraordinary. We're not talking about people having to, go out of hoops on a regular basis and do anything other than that. Now, it's even better than this, though, because those 5% bonuses I referred actually can continue from people that the 35 people that you shared this with start sharing it with other people. And you could get a substantial portion of that on the teams that they also build on their own. So I want to go ahead and start taking a look at some specific units. Now, first off, every single helium hotspot, including our proprietary iHub miners, are all on the helium blockchain. And because of that, they're all publicly accessible, completely transparent. So let me go ahead and stop sharing this for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and share a screen here. Let's go here. And this is an application from Helium that essentially looks at the entire Helium blockchain and it plots those units onto a worldwide map so you can see where they're located. Now, remember, this has only been since December 19th. It's currently showing 138,448 units. Now, when Chuck and I were first looking at this, there were really around 7,000 units, and they were almost 100% in the US and Canada. They started shipping units over into Europe and the UK about the fall of 2020. So it hasn't even been a year yet that that's been out there. But other than over in China, where there's a group of units that have been showing up in China over the last 3 months or so, it's pretty much wide open in the rest of the world. Now, part of that reason has to do with supply chain availability of the units. And that's something that's happening and improving quite a bit since the pandemic, making a big impact on the semiconductor industry. But I want to get ahead and take a look at a couple specific units. Now, you could go ahead and zoom in on this map and look at any particular area. And I'm going to go ahead and start in a place called Vero Beach, Florida. Well, why Vero Beach? Because our CEO, Rick Cotton, lives in Vero Beach. And 5 months ago, there was not a single unit in Vero Beach, Florida. And so he wanted to put together a system for how you develop an area from scratch where there's nothing there yet and building that location. And that's precisely what he did, starting off with what he likes to call a 6-pack where he had a unit and he needed to find host locations for his other 5 units, because unlike a Bitcoin miner or an Ethereum miner, where you can have a room or a warehouse full of those things, this is all about providing coverage for the IoT devices in our vicinity. So they need to be separated by at least 300 meters or about 1,000 feet. So he went and found a system of getting a marketing funnel and an ad go out there. And he found about 200 people that were clamoring to be one of the people that would host those 6 units or so. And he started off with that. He cherry picked the ones that were closest to him. And over the last 3 or 4 months or so, that has grown to about 250 units covering the Vero Beach area, as those people that were hosts initially saw the vision of what was possible and started duplicating just what Rick was doing and sharing it with other individuals. Now, every one of these units has kind of a fun name to it. His was called the Trendy Tan Duck. That's represented by this white dot here. The gold dots with the lines to it are representing units that his unit is able to witness by the radio proximity through this situation, and it's part of the proof of coverage algorithm that Helium uses. And it's proving that those units are there, ready and able to collect that IoT data. And that generates a lot of the helium that is being mined in this case. So his unit, if you look at this, over the last 7 days, has generated $320 of helium, converted at the current exchange rate that's out there right now. Now, let me put this in perspective. I mentioned that you could get up to 20% on that first team, your first 5 individuals. Let's say you're an iHub affiliate. You knew this person in Vero Beach, Florida. You reached out, told them about iHub. They got a unit, and it generated 12.7 helium tokens over the last 7 days. If you were getting 20% of that, that would be about $275 a month that you're getting for that particular effort. Now, if it was the 26 or higher person, in other words, on that 4th team I showed you, you'd be able to get 35% of that. And that would be closer to $500 for that same exact activity. Well, what about the person in Vero Beach, the person that's hosting the unit? They're able to get 25%. And if you look at 25% of that, it would come out to be somewhere around $350 that they would be able to be getting for that same period for just plugging this thing into their home or their business, hooking it up to their electricity and their internet, and pretty much letting it set and forget in order to generate these helium tokens. So let's take a look at a couple of other units that are out there. This one's over in the London area. It's called the Precise Ceramic Boa. One thing I want to point out about this, first off, it generated a whopping $506 worth of US value in tokens over the last 7 days. Well, one of the reasons that it did that more than the one in Vero Beach is it's reaching out at a further distance if you look at it from the map perspective. And that tells me that it's probably at a high elevation, because in radio, line of sight is able to go further. So it's probably on a high floor of a high-rise building. This unit generated $506 worth of helium in the last 7 days. You take a look at that, that would represent at around 20%. That's over $415 or so that you'd be getting on that. And if you were doing it on your 4th team at 35%, it's going to be closer to $725. Okay, and let's take a look at one more unit here real quick. This is also in the London area. Now, this is a real outlier. It generated basically $116 worth of helium in 7 days. It's also reaching out really far, the farthest of all the ones we looked at, so to generate that enormous amount. Now, if you were the one that referred that individual, you could be getting $894 for that 30-day period that that individual had the unit. Okay, and remember, it's not just a one-time thank you for 30 days. That's an ongoing residual that you're going to get from the life of that unit. Now, if you were in the 35% group on that 4th group, that'd be that's about $1,600 for that same effort. And what about the person there in that area that's hosting the unit? They're going to be somewhere around $1,200 for hosting that unit in their home or the business. So we're looking at something completely unprecedented at anything we've ever looked at before. So let me just go ahead and finish this up here, and then I will pass it back over to Chuck. But I want to just put this in perspective, because if you're looking at this for the first time, there's a lot of technical terms we're throwing around here: cryptocurrency, blockchain, Internet of Things, LoRa, LongFi, proof of coverage, all this stuff. I tell you, if you're like me and you're like Chuck, this was a bit bewildering when we first started looking about it, but we had such a gut feeling that we couldn't stop looking into it. In fact, I was looking for the red flags very quickly to politely say, I'm not interested, I'm too busy. And the more I looked, the more I couldn't look away. And that led to the formation of iHub Global as we know it. So don't let that bother you. You don't have to be an expert like that. Just like you can turn on your television set, go to the right channel, watch a movie and enjoy it without understanding all the technology involved for making that happen. You could do the same thing with enjoying this. Now, first off, you don't have to explain this to individuals. You can invite them to these live recordings or recordings of these recordings of other incredible tools we have through our Helium Track software to be able to share this information. But you know what? It's really simple. And as far as these units themselves go, other than hooking them up to your power and to your internet, maybe deciding what window to put it in, or maybe choosing a better antenna based on your circumstances, after that, it's pretty much set it and forget it. So get back together with the people that share this information with you. Remember, it is totally no cost to be able to register with iHub Global. Get your questions answered. And as we like to say that, take a look at things. We are where we are in life precisely as a result of the decisions that we made in the past and the actions we've taken on those decisions. And so if you want to see a different outcome, especially a different financial outcome, it just takes making a decision and acting on it. And I believe iHub Global is the most extraordinary opportunity I've seen in over 40 years as being an entrepreneur. So with that, thank you for taking a look at this. Get back together. For the people that share this information with you, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it back over to Chuck.
Real good, Michael. Thank you very much. And, Michael's exactly right, guys. Don't get caught up in all the technology and, all the, oh, that's too complicated for me. Trust me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And, in fact, I did it a couple of experiments early on. I said, you know what? Let me send one of these units out to some people that they don't even know how to cut and paste an email. And let me see if they can hook it up. It's kind of like let's see if Mikey eats the cereal, right? Well, that's what I did. I sent it out to a couple of friends, and this one lady who accepted my challenge out in the Oakland area, she said, "Oh, I could never set up anything like that." And I said, just try it, right? And so 5 minutes, I'm telling you, 5 minutes, she had it hooked up, and now she's got all kinds of people that she's referred, and other units that she owns, and so on and so forth. But it is by far and away. I mean, here we launched iHub Global in the last week of March. It took quite a few months to put everything together, the infrastructure, the coding, all the software and everything to pay the commissions out in Helium. But, now about 350,000 people have signed on as affiliates. Everything, you can I want you to definitely go to heliumtrack.com and go and look at our amazing software. You see, prior to our acquisition of that company, Helium Track, it was always just a guess, right? It was a guess as to whether or not an address was a good address, a location was a good location, and it was just, hit and miss. Now we have all the intelligence that anyone needs at the tip of our finger, putting in an address, and then boom, you have, whether or not that's a good, a bad, a perfect, a great, on a scale of 1 to 10, exactly what it is. So you definitely don't want to miss that. The other thing you don't want to miss is the training that we're going to do tomorrow night. You heard Michael talk about antennas. Well, it just so happens that we have an expert in the field of antennas that's going to join us. And, I never really thought much about antennas until I became associated with iHub Global. Now I'm an antenna fanatic, right? I've sampled all kinds of antennas and tried them, and I have to say that if you want to mine more helium, if you want to earn more money, then you definitely want to be on the Zoom tomorrow night at 9 p.m. East Coast time We've got 1,000 seats in the Zoom room, and I'm sure we'll blow it out because what we're about to show you, everybody wants to know more about, right? And we've got an expert that's going to be with us that's going to explain in very layman's terms on, and we talked about that, you got to keep it down, right? So that everybody can understand. You see, because these things come with a little 6-inch pigtail, right? And, it doesn't do much. I mean, they're okay, but there's better options. And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. So like Michael said, do get back to the person that thought enough about you, that cared enough about you, that shared this information with you, and go and get registered for free. You can then access the Helium Track software right there. You can do a virtual mining assessment. That's what we call it, a virtual mining assessment on your particular location, and maybe some locations of some friends, because we give you, when you sign up for free, we give you 10 credits. Basically, you can do 10 of these virtual mining assessments before you purchase the software. The software is $39. So if you want to just purchase it right out of the gate, then you have unlimited access to doing as many of the virtual mining assessments as you want to. So guys, I mean, I could stay here and talk about helium. I could stay here and talk about all the things that are on the horizon, but lots of great things. And so with that, Michael, thank you very much. Autumn, thank you. John, thank you for sitting in there and doing all the things that you do. John Krim is the guy that makes all of this work, right? And so he never really gets many accolades. So I always try to include him, because if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be as productive as we are. So, and there's a lot of other people behind the scenes that are, as you can imagine, with an organization that's grown to 350,000 affiliates in a few short months, at the rate that we're putting people on, we're going to be at 1 million affiliates easily by the end of the year. So it takes a huge infrastructure, lots of servers, lots of things going on behind the scenes. And with that, make sure that you're here early tomorrow. We'll open the doors at 8:45. When you get here, shout out where you're calling in from, and we'll get started right at the top of the hour. So God bless everybody. Thanks for being here. Stay safe, and we will see all of you tomorrow at 9 p.m. East Coast time. Michael, again, thank you very much. Talk to you guys. Good night, everybody.